What is up, everybody? It's your boy Doody, back again with another video, and this time we're taking a look at DSP's business slash financial records and conducting our weekly audit where we take a look at the raw numbers for DSP Gaming and DSP Reacts. And I guess pretty soon we'll have to throw in DSP throwbacks, but at this time we just have two channels to worry about. And as you guys know, every week I take a look at Phil's super chats, his tips, and do a comparison week over week, and then I also do a comparison of how the business is faring year over year. So this year, of course, we have 3 years worth of data. We have 2022, 2023, and 2024. So I'll do a comparison and let you guys know how the business, how the liquidity is doing for DSP Gaming. And by the way, folks, quick spoiler alert, I know many were concerned that the Fat Cat's appearance would give Phil a huge bump in numbers. I'm here to tell you and assuage those worries. That did not happen, folks. If we do a comparison week over week, it wasn't that significant. Actually, if it wasn't for Cat's appearance, he actually would dip in income. But of course, it's the beginning of the year. Many of the dents have their disability checks in hand, and they feel generous. It happens every year with Phil. And then, of course, towards the middle of the month, it tails off. And then February, March, April, it's just Dryville. And I expect the same pattern to occur this year, as the same pattern that occurred this, that's happening now to last year is happening again. So, but we'll get into that. So let's look at the weekly work numbers for DSP Gaming and DSP Reacts. And of course, don't forget, this is simply just tips and super chats. I don't look at the memberships. I don't look at the ad revenue. I do a general review of that towards the end of the year, like I did last week. And of course, you guys know that I show that Phil lost revenue of nearly $20,000 between 2022 and 2023. So the way things are going, it looks like Phil's probably going to hit that mark again, or actually do worse, even though he has a third sister channel. So let's look at the numbers, folks. So for the work week started on January 5th and went through the 10th, and Phil made $1,205 in tips. Now, if we compare that to last week, he actually made more last week. Last week he made $1,239. So he dipped in tips by roughly about 34 bucks or whatever. And then super chats for that same time period, Phil made $484 compared to $265 in the previous week. Now, most of that, of course, came during the big Fat Cat reveal on the 10th, the night stream. So if it wasn't for that night stream, Phil would have been pretty screwed this week. He would have had a huge dip in support, and it would have started early this year versus, towards the tail end of January. So he timed it pretty well, but of course, I'm not going to get into the Fat Cat and the documentary in this discussion. We're just here to look at raw numbers. So Phil managed to pull in $1,689 compared to $1,504, for an increase of about 185 bucks. So he made an extra couple bucks, thanks in part to bringing out his horse and beating a dead horse and bringing her on stage to the most uncomfortable whatever you want to call it, podcast, whatever the hell he wants to call it, event. It was the most awkward thing. I mean, I had like secondary awkwardness for Phil and Cat because it was just terrible. But again, I'm not going to talk about that here. I'll leave that for today's podcast at 12 o'clock. Make sure to be there. It should be a lot of fun, folks. So it looks like Phil did okay week over week. Now, what we're going to do now is look at the total numbers. So he's doing okay for this month, January. He pulled in $3,193 so far for January, compared to $55.95 in December. So he's on pace to roughly make about that same amount of money that he did in December. But again, don't worry, folks. December, January, Phil usually sees a big bump. Sees a significant bump. But of course, like I said, it always tails off mid-January. And then, of course, February, March, April, it's just Dryville for Phil. That's why he plays a lot of those retro games. And begs for money. So we should see the significant begging happening soon in a few weeks first, especially with the member bombs that are going to be dropping soon. I think when he comes back today, he's probably going to be down another 50 or 75 members. And then, you know, the next few weeks, it's just going to keep dipping. And then the first week of February, he'll probably be back down to under 400 members. That's how it goes in Philville. There's no way around it. So I'm pretty sure that Phil will continue to complain about support, money, and so on, just like Phil does every single fucking day. Alrighty, folks. So now what we're going to do is we're going to look at the year-over-year total. So of course now I have 3 years of data to compare. I have 2022, 2023, and 2024. Actually, let me make a quick correction right here. So this is 2024. Sorry, folks. I have to do a little bit of editing on the stream. 23, and then this one would be 2022. Now I'm probably not going to track 2022 that much. Or, you know, just, you know, I'll highlight it from time to time. But the main focus will be 2024 compared to 2023. As you can see here, Phil already is losing money, folks. So far for this year, Phil has managed to make $1,818 in tips. That's from January 1st all the way through the 10th. And then the super chats he made, well, I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead of myself. So for the month of January so far, Phil has managed to make $1,818 compared to 2023, where Phil made $1,911. Now, if we want to look at 2022, Phil pulled in $2,172. So you could see a decrease every single year. 2022, he did okay in 2022, and then last year the dip in support was significant. And then this year, it's just dipping again. So don't worry. I know a lot of people get worried, and I hear people commenting on my videos and on Twitter, oh, he made this amount of money. He got so many memberships. He got this. Don't worry. Don't worry, because the income that he's getting is just shuffled around money. There's really no new money. I mean, when they whale out for him on one day, like they did for Cats when Fat Cat was on stream, today's support is just going to dry the fuck up, and the next day, and that's just how it goes with Phil. So it all evens out. As you can see here, it all evens out. Like if you were on stream and you were watching Phil play Baldur's Gate, the cat reveal, all that stuff, you would think, oh my god, Phil's making, you know, bank. He's making tons of money. He's not. He isn't. He actually made less money this year than he did last year, and then the previous year even worse. So as you can see here, for 2023 in tips, he made $1,818 compared to $1,911 last year, which is a net decrease of 5% already. And then for super chats, Phil pulled in $645 so far this year. Compared to last year, for the same time period, he made $677, which is again a net decrease of negative 5%. And if you look at what he pulled in super chats in 2022, he made $1,312 in super chats. So he couldn't even make half the amount of super chats that he did in 2022. That's significant, folks. So if we look at the grand totals for the period so far for 2024, Phil pulled in $2,463, right, compared to what he made last year, which was $2,586, for a net decrease of 5%. Now, if you do a comparison to 2022 and 2024, so if you take Phil's grand total, which is 2,463, and then you divide that by what he made in 2022, which was $3,484, Phil is down 30%. 30% from 2024 to from 2022. 30%. That's significant. That's a huge dip. It is. It is. And a lot of people sometimes say, well, you're not including ad revenue. No, we all know that ad revenue for Phil is trash. And that's just based on his views. His views have dropped off from, in 2022 at the beginning, he was making maybe 1 million views a month. He barely cracks 500,000 views. So he's making half the ad revenue. And then memberships, it peaks. Sometimes he makes a little bit more, but then ultimately it drops. For example, you know, he's up to what, 1175? When he comes back today, he'll probably be under 1100, and then in a few weeks he'll be back down to 400. It's just it evened out with membership, so I don't worry about that or concern myself too much about it. But as you can see here, just the raw numbers, the tips and the super chat, which Phil has said himself, and I've said, is his bread and butter. That's why he streams 6 hours a day, because that's where he makes the bulk of his money, is tips and super chats. And as you can see, he's already in the negative between 2024, 2023, and even significantly more in the hole for 2022. So folks, I'm here to calm you down. Don't worry. Phil's not making bank. Phil's not, there's not a resurgence in Phil. He doesn't have his vibe back from 2017 or 2016 or whatever the fuck, whatever he claims. It's just dipping, and it's gonna dip more, especially if he tries to put more focus on that DSP throwback channel, because that's just not gonna go anywhere. What he's gonna end up doing is he's going to take away from DSP Reacts, so he'll have less memberships there, less tips there, less super chats there, and it's just, again, it's for Phil, it's always just, it's robbing from Peter to pay Paul. That's essentially what it is. The pot doesn't get any bigger. It's just money being shuffled around. So if tips are good, super chats are crap. If super chats are good, tips are trash. If memberships are trash, then tips and super chats will probably be a little bit more. And then vice versa. So again, folks, don't worry. And I'm here, folks, to tell you finally that answer the question: did Fat Cat save the week, the work week? No, she didn't. Well, she gave him a little bit more money for DoorDash and for extra DoorDash and grocery and pet supply shopping, but nothing significant. And as you can see here, guys, Phil's already in the negative, and the business is hemorrhaging even more money. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Peace out.